Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of the MRM podcast. Today we will be watching Mockingbird. If you'd like to watch along at home, you are more than welcome. There will be a sync point in the podcast itself. Today we'll be talking about the film, about the making of the film, past experiences, and how all that will feed into our upcoming work in Ava and another film coming sometime next year. So, let's get into it. Yeah, so Mockingbird, we shot it in July of 2018 with Mackenzie Barman, Wayne Shearer, the late, great Wayne Shearer, Nina Tandilashvili.
Wow.
And yeah, I got it right the first
impressed
time.
you pronounced that correctly.
I made a very big deal of learning her last name. And, God, there's so many people on the project. I'm trying to remember everybody. Who played Delilah? Kirsten Heim.
Sam was Ashley.
Ashley Ganter, right.
Yep.
One who likes to smack talk.
Yep.
On Twitter about sports.
My Twitter rival.
Yes. Who else was in the film? Damn.
Frank's character.
There we go. Steve Reeser.
Steve.
Yep. Steve. Is that everybody? My hand was in the movie, so I was in the movie. I gave it coffee.
Your little baby cousin?
No.
Was that him?
No.
That was someone else.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like him, though. I don't know.
It's just because he's a small child.
Yeah.
You think they all look the same. But he is my friend David Hughes' son.
Oh, that's right.
He is not in this movie anymore. He's in like a single shot. And speaking of single shot, the last person I forgot about, Ali Dinda.
Right.
She shot for multiple days, and she did a great job, and none of her hard work is in the movie because, this is as good a place as any to talk about it. The original ending of the movie was leading somewhere else. And when we shot in July, we hadn't shot it yet. The idea was that we were going to cover it in the springtime because we had to take a break. Mostly
Right.
me, because I was taking off for a week and a half, and it was really, really hard to get money while also spending so much of it driving all over the place. So
Yep.
I took that time off, and by the time we were ready to revisit it, unfortunately, Wayne had passed away unexpectedly. So the original ending was, if you haven't watched Mockingbird, this will be a spoiler, but I'd be shocked if this is how you're first watching Mockingbird. The original ending was Wayne was going to be in a jail cell. So after the body is found, after all that, Wayne is arrested. The character's name is Charlie, but Wayne is the actor. Charlie's arrested. He's in a cell awaiting his sentencing the night of, or the night after he's been arrested. And we were going to shoot that in a fridge or use visual effects to get the breath. Remember how that was a big
fridge?
Deal? Yeah. My idea was I was gonna ask my boss if I could shoot
the walk-in
to shoot in the walk-in. I'm very glad I didn't get that far because that would have been stupid.
Also,
but
I don't think people sit in jail cells awaiting their sentence.
it wasn't a sentence. It was the night after he was arrested, so he's just sitting in a cell,
Contemplating his life choices.
Yeah, so
that makes more sense.
Yeah. I speak poorly, but I promise the idea was sound. Yes, we were going to do some digital breath effects. I was doing that, testing with JJ Scene before that got cut. And the original scene was supposed to be Annie, the ghost, who's now not really in the movie anymore, was going to visit him in his cell, smack talk him a little bit, and Rose was going to make an appearance, and she was going to drop a belt in his hands. And Wayne...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and Charlie was going to hang himself in his cell as his last moment on screen, and then Carla was going to head back and say hi to Sam. That was pretty much the same, but it was a very, very dark ending. It's why that cut to Steve sitting at the table with his head in his hands. That was meant to be, the body of his niece was finally found. She's been dead for longer than she's ever been alive. His sister can now rest in peace, and his brother-in-law did it all and killed himself. So it's been a very hard weekend for Steve, for Frank in the film, and Nina's character, who is Jamie, was dealing with that as well, having been visited by Annie as a kid, and all this stuff was in the movie, and it sounds really cool, but it was all ripped out because when that original ending of Wayne in the cell couldn't be shot anymore, it meant that the original opening, which was this 4-minute thing with JJ
Yeah.
on the mountaintop that ends with him falling off, you would actually see him die and see him, well, not see him die, but see him fall off the edge. And there was a ring and stuff that was important. All of that was cut because once the ending changed, instead of being an interesting, spooky opening, it was just a 4-minute delay to getting to the point. And in a 50-minute film, you shouldn't be spending 1/10 of that film staring at nothing.
Well, and I think another thing is that there's a lot more backstory that you and I know about.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't necessarily portray very well. Like, you get the gist of it, but there's still a lot more details that we probably wish we could have fit in there on screen.
But yeah, Mockingbird is our most recent thing. It was our most ambitious. Now it seems cute in comparison to what we're about to do. And yeah, I mean, let's talk about the bright sides before we get, because I'm one to focus on the negatives.
This is true.
The bright side, I mean, I don't think there was a bad performance in the film. I love
Oh, no.
all the individual scenes are great. I'm really happy with the way they turned out. I'm not super happy with how they fit together, but that's my problem.
That's fair.
I think they performed the flawed script that was given really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, the acting, the performances, and the actual visuals of the shots look great.
Mm-hmm. The music's pretty nice too. I think we did a pretty good job on that.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's more the fact that I have a nice cohesive section of material to use.
Right.
You know, we'll get into this later, but you know, it's with the first one, Abigail, like I said, probably multiple times on multiple different outlets.
Every chance you get.
Every chance I get, that Abigail's quote score was just like a bunch of unfinished ideas that were, you know, thrown in here and there to kind of glue it together.
Yeah, Abigail we worked on it for 2 years, but it was so spotty, and we were living 90 minutes apart, and we didn't have a workflow and all that stuff. So by the end of it, I literally just grabbed everything you'd ever sent me on Google Drive and stuck it in there.
Stuck it in to where you thought it fit.
And and it's repetitive, but it sounds good enough that we actually just got a comment like a week ago where a guy asked if he could buy it, and we respectfully no, because it would be one track for 25 minutes.
Listen, it's a free video on YouTube. If you want the music for Abigail, just search Martin R. McGowan on YouTube, find his Abigail post, and then just rip the audio from it. You have my verbal permission as Austin Robert Harrock.
Is that your middle name?
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's my middle name too. I think we talked about this at some point. I just forgot.
Aw.
That's adorable. We have the same middle name. Any fucking way. Yeah, you can just go pirate the movie.
Just go rip the audio from the video.
So say the Twin Roberts. You can go get it whatever you want. But yeah, let's not talk about the future. Let's not talk about Abigail. Let's talk about Mockingbird.
Yeah, let's get into this.
Yeah, so let's.
Do you think that was a good enough intro?
I think
overview?
so. I mean, we've been talking for a little bit, so I feel like that's a good amount of time. So yeah, we're about to start the movie. If you want to watch along with us, we are at 00, and I will let you know when I hit play in 3, 2, 1, and I hit play. There's my logo.
MRM.
Welcome to the MRM podcast. There she is, the star of the show. Let's see if we forgot anybody. Okay, we got Kirsten.
Yep.
Got Nina. That's her last name. Got it right. So this shot is my bedroom window. There's Wayne. This is my bedroom window. It was raining, and Cosmos. I forgot about Cosmos. It was raining that day, and it just looked like a nice shot. However, it's also a visual effects shot. That mountain on the right isn't real. and no one can tell, which is a good compliment for me. It was composited inside Premiere, and
Hey, it's me.
yeah, there's the important one. I wish
Who
there
cares
was
about him?
Yeah, boo. I wish there was some rain in front of the mountain, but I didn't feel like doing that. So
Pretentious nature shots,
yep.
as you are so known for to
it's required, I think. Well, I also added a fuzzy. Oh, this is from Abigail. This shot is from
yeah, it
Abigail.
is.
It was never used.
do. Hey, whatever.
This is. Well,
This was actually, I think, the first scene that I scored.
yeah, it was. Because it was just the compilation and I needed a sound. This is actually an Ali Dinda shot. She steps in 4 frames after we cut. This is a stock footage shot that I had acquired in 2015 or something. This is also Abigail. Another shot that was never used for Abigail. But great little tone setter. There she is. Oh, Jamie Hubert. We forgot to mention her. She designed everything, all the text and stuff, which is why it looks better than everything else I've ever done. That's my dad's room. That's my sister's hands, and no one zips anything. She just moves her hand, and the sound effect works. And then we cut to opening dialogue is fuck. This is my friend Amanda's house. She was very nice and let us use her house for I think 2 or 3 hours in the morning. You were there.
I was.
Yeah.
I didn't really do much. I just kind of
No.
oversaw the
I
process.
just had everyone sit in the corner, and you hit the record button on the audio. We recorded those slaps in your closet like 2 weeks before we released the film.
That's right. You just like
Yeah.
slapped your forearm or something.
Yeah, and we picked the favorite one because it was 2 years of watching this thing with 0 slaps.
With
just,
no slapping
Yeah,
noise.
just light touches. Not Sam. Ashley actually smacked Mackenzie. Mackenzie asked her to. But the sound didn't hit. So we
Right.
needed to add the sound in later.
No, don't you fucking Sam me. What do you want me to say? I mean, what answer could possibly
It's really interesting the
So just
way the dialogue is edited in this.
No, don't you
They're actually from multiple different takes at the same time. It's the fincheriest that I ever got.
Fincheriest.
Because I actually cut out a whole piece of middle dialogue in there where she said something about
I'm getting paid. What's the job? It's a cold case.
I forgot what she said because it's been gone for so long, but it was something about more information on JJ basically.
Choose the local.
So I cut out the exposition, but
I'm leaving you the deposit.
I don't know. I feel like that particular decision was fine because you do have a scene with Delilah in 5 seconds. She tells you who JJ was. She tells you what's going on. So
This is your only shot and your only scene in the film that's free-handed, right?
yeah, it is.
To me.
Yeah, everything else is locked off tripod, ripping off David Fincher again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ava is going to be much more handheld than this. And boom, cut for end of first scene. Starts with the divorce. Great, we're on the first step. So this part was my nephew. My nephew records the voice of JJ on this. He was visiting at the time, and Kirsten was there. And I just asked her, "Could you record this little bit with my nephew?" This is a visual effect shot. All of that is an effect.
Wait, what is?
The good. The cell phone, the whole screen of the cell phone.
Oh, okay.
It was on a blank screen with some text on it, and I replaced the whole thing with I think it was Delilah Herzl, something. I wrote like a fake phone number on there. I think maybe I didn't, and listen, and a big button.
I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah,
Nice.
When I realized they wouldn't stop, I tried to stay up.
I like this little reflection on the table.
Sleep
Yeah, it's nice.
down here.
This scene was interesting to score because you were over and you were like, we just need to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm just going to throw some snippets of some of the piano stuff
Yeah.
over it. And it worked.
It worked really
oddly
well.
enough.
Because you got to make room for the dialogue, so it's where that creativity has to also service something, which is when it gets complicated. This is one of the only lit shots in the movie. Mackenzie had brought a light,
What happens?
and it was far too dark in here to actually shoot the way I wanted it to.
Yeah.
He stares at me.
And
I mean,
that-
it kind of looks like early morning.
Yeah, it works well enough. I'm better at lighting now, and I'd like to try something like that again, but we'll,
Starts to scream.
you learn. Also, at the beginning of the scene when we're staring at the coffee cup, I found this great bit of Mackenzie staring at the coffee cup in the edit and used that as the cut. So it looks like we've been looking from her perspective staring at the coffee cup. It's not a big deal, but I'm happy about it.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I try to run away.
Her hair and her robe there are almost the same exact color.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Kirsten had her hair dyed for a play that she was doing, and asked like, "Oh, should I wash it out? Should I do this? Should I do that?" I'm like, "No, just leave it. It's fine." If I really disliked it, I could desaturate it in post. So, but I didn't. So must not have bothered
Movie
me.
magic.
Movie magic. That's right. I could make her robe gray if I wanted, or green, or purple.
It's already purple.
Oh, well, blue.
When I do, the screaming stops.
She did all this without a script. I mean, there was a
Really?
script. She memorized her lines, but she memorized them. That whole scene, she's staring into a coffee cup and staring at a table. Same thing with Mackenzie. I mean, Mackenzie is the unsung hero of this whole movie. She knew the whole script literally better than I did, which is not good, but she did know it better than me. I think I literally
This
have
is one of your favorite little
Yeah.
musical tags coming up.
Oh yeah, that's the one we reuse at the ending, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. Love that.
right there.
Here we are, the star of the show.
Literally though, that's the only time you hear that until
Yeah.
the end. Like I don't use it ever.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Mr. Rob? My name is Carla.
So Steve taught me one very important lesson, which is shut the fuck up on my end, because I have so many awesome takes of Steve that are interrupted by me saying sweet or awesome or perfect or something on the other end of the
I
camera.
can totally see that too.
Yeah, it's really annoying. So for all of my future projects, I'm just not going to talk. I'm going to wait a hot minute before I ever say a word. This was fun. So Mackenzie was actually staying at my house while this is my old shitty apartment while we shot this, and we spent like I think 3 or 4 hours one night literally just shooting inserts, shooting this stuff. It's all her handwriting because my handwriting fucking sucks. And I watched. I had no reference for how to do a montage because I'd never done it before. So I watched like Zodiac, just a Dragon Tattoo, sequences from movies that would give me an idea of what a montage is supposed to look like. As stupid as that sounds, it doesn't. Especially without music, you're not quite sure if this is working until you hear it. If that makes any sense. Then we have all the suicides that all line up. I mean, this is good exposition. This is, this is outside my mom's old house.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I wasn't able to talk to
That's
Sorry.
Mackenzie's real
I mean,
cat.
this is kind of where the exposition
Yeah,
starts.
yeah.
Really?
I mean, it's all people talking. I'm surprised there isn't more exposition in it, but
Well, in that scene before this one, you know, it like gives you an idea of what's going on, but you don't really know. Like you see a list of names. You know, she accepted a job.
right, something
this
about a
town.
dead kid.
Yeah.
It's very vague because
So,
there isn't
like,
a
you
lot of
don't-
details to give.
You see a bunch of names, but you're like, what are they? Are they the subjects? Like, what are like the?
Yeah, if you look, the words that say suicide are all women's names. It's all the
Yeah.
moms, and the kids are all a bunch of kids. They're anybody we could think of at the time. Mackenzie put a bunch of her friends in there as like little Easter eggs. Oh, this shot was lit by my brother holding a light over Mackenzie's head because he's 6'6" and his hand is like 9 feet in the air. So this is also my aunt's apartment. She loves to shoot, and it's predominantly there is a backlight on Mackenzie here, but it's predominantly lit by this massive wall of
4 giant
windows.
sliding door windows.
Yeah, and it's just light bounced off of trees, so it's all green. So all that green light that you see in this whole scene is actually real, as opposed to Abigail. I just turned certain scenes green in post. This is that green cast you have on her skin is real. It's just from trees outside.
That's handy.
Yeah,
All of them have mysterious or indeterminable.
I love Mackenzie's performance in this.
Yeah.
I-
She just nails it.
She's really good.
What are you thinking?
It's
She
not
just-
just like the delivery of the lines. It's like the facial
It's
expressions.
everything.
and
It's like,
all the little nuances.
I'll tell you about the technical issues when we get to the scene with the technical issues, but
Yeah.
she's acting every second she's on camera, and I looked at her a couple times while the shot was on someone else, and she's acting when she's not on camera too. She's just great. Here we go.
Fuck me.
There we go.
You're like a god damn kidney stone. What do you want now?
I wanted to talk about the September murders.
I seem to recall declining that offer.
I'm sorry, we're talking about this movie, not watching it. Yeah, it's. I mean, I love. Ah, there we go. The boot in the door.
You got 3 seconds before I get my gun.
Mr. Robbins, no.
I have 30 minutes before I have to change my colostomy bag.
Then I'll take 25.
So Frank is just an endless torrent of obscenity and too much
It is
information.
the comic relief.
He is, but he's also like, he's angry. He's completely serious about it. He's like, I have 30 minutes before I change my colostomy bag. You have 3 seconds before I get my gun. That's that shot where he's looking down. I'm talking over it. And I had to mute myself and fix the audio, but he's also one who's acting even when he's not acting. So this is, believe it or not, this is my favorite scene in the movie, and it's also the one that had the most trouble. So
Between 10 and 2 a.m.
Frank, the guy playing Frank, is named Steve Reeser. He had like 4 hours of sleep the night before, right? He has a 1.5-page monologue he has to get out. He has like a 3-paragraph long speech, just him talking, that he needs to get out. And he doesn't have anything in front of him. At a certain point, we did put the script down just so he could have like the cliff notes, but none of that was a major problem. The major problem was my fucking camera. The SD card was dying. So we'd be shooting, and 2 minutes into a shot, 30 seconds into a shot, 9 minutes into a shot, whatever, it would just stop. And there'd be no way to plan for it. And I'd have to say, take it from 2 sentences ago. Match that beautiful intensity you were hitting before I interrupted it with, hold on, okay, go.
Easier said than done.
Exactly. And also I had to sync, so I had to clap in the like someone has to clap.
Yeah.
You know, and I have to have a visual clap, so I have to clap in front of their face in order to make sure that I can see it and hear it. And it's just, it was really a tough, I think 2 or 3 hours to shoot all this, maybe less. But the final result is awesome. So it's one of those things where it's like, you know, this particular scene had a lot of technical issues, but you would never really guess by the ending. And this is the main thing. When buttoning together all of Steve's stuff, I was able to lean on Mackenzie. So you'll see that we hold on her for a long period of time throughout this scene. Now, you know, maybe now you'll notice it. You're not supposed to notice it the first time. But A, she's acting with her face the entire time, which is just amazing. And B, it's actually there so I can splice together 2 or 3 takes at the same time because my camera failed or because this thing failed or whatever it was, or like bridging a flub of a line or something or whatever it is. And I love that we're able to lean on her when we need it.
Yeah, it's all like the reactions.
Yeah.
Like I said before, it's the facial expressions, the subtleties, and just the visual performance.
Yeah.
You know, they're not acting; they're having a conversation.
That's kind of, I think, the best way to describe it. Yeah, I didn't want this to feel like a performance. She's not.
I mean, it is a performance, but
Yeah.
it
doesn't feel
like it until you bring it up and talk about it.
Right.
It literally just looks like you're watching 2 people have a conversation, like a dramatic,
An angry conversation because they don't
sincere
really like each other.
conversation.
Look at that. I described him in the script as an angry bulldog, and I think Steve nails that face
Oh yeah.
so well.
Personally and professionally, I remained objective before and after my niece was taken.
This little uncomfortable shift, like, ah, fuck.
Great.
Carla-
What did I stir up?
Carla's not really a social person. She doesn't have a lot of tact.
Yeah, honestly, she's kind of, the character is just kind of just borderline sociopathic.
Yeah,
She
she's so
lacks
focused on
empathy
the job.
and she lacks the ability to feel what anyone else feels, like putting
Mm-hmm.
herself in others' shoes, which
Until it's too late.
well,
Like
yeah.
she'll like when she said it with Delilah, she's like, "Oh, I don't know, people just killed themselves." And she's like, "Is that abnormal?" She's like, "No, not. I mean, it's really weird for here." And she said, "Even after you're losing a child," and Mackenzie looks at her and is like, "Oh fuck, I
Yeah.
didn't realize what I was saying.
You know,
Didn't realize who I was talking
she's
to."
all like into her work and the
Mm-hmm.
the facts, the cold hard facts that she
Yeah.
forgets that she's dealing with people.
Yeah, people who have experienced these cold hard facts that are horrible.
Yeah, and honestly, from reading the script, I wouldn't have gotten that,
Mm-hmm.
but the performance
It sells it.
definitely.
That was so. Mackenzie actually brought most of the character.
Welcome to Barksdale
oh, I love
PD,
this.
Because I'm coming up on my 4th decade.
I think Steve's character was very much an idea I had that I wanted to execute a certain way, and he did it beautifully. Whereas Carla was more ambiguous. I started the film with that divorce scene because I'm like, huh, what if, okay, this woman is cheating on her wife. She's leaving in the, early hours of the morning trying to dip before her wife gets back so she doesn't have to confront her. What a piece of shit. And by the end of the movie, I need to like her. And I was like, that's an interesting test for myself. So that's where we started. I mean, Mackenzie talked about a show that she loved that she made me watch that I also really liked, called The Killing on AMC, and we referenced this actress whose name her name escapes me. I'm not going to remember it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but she's wonderful in the piece, and it's why we have the ponytail in The Killing. The main woman has a ponytail similar to Carla's. But at no point does she descend into like a parody of that performance or copying. It's just her take on this sort of obsessive character. Like, what is it like when someone devotes their entire life to something like this? Because like we actually got to know. I mean, you're a musician. I'm whatever the fuck I am, and Mackenzie is an actress. We are obsessive people. We've devoted our lives to this thing more or less. But imagine if this thing, instead of being like making fun music on guitars or taking pretty pictures, was about real people who die.
Right.
And you have to go find out how they died and why they died and what happened. I mean, she's a private investigator, so there's a lot of stuff that's going to be... I mean, you don't hire a private investigator for fun. It's like the lightest situation she can hope for is that someone's cheating on someone.
Yeah.
Like, that's not fun.
Find my lost kitten.
Yeah, like, I don't think anyone's going to hire her for that. So, it's a tough job, and the kind of person that would choose that and be like, hell yeah, this is my career. Freelance, by the way. So, like, this is what I choose to do with my time. Yeah, she's a very interesting character, and I think the performance was so important for that, and Mackenzie did a great job. I mean, this is an iPhone shot. That's my iPhone. Don't ever let anyone tell you that cameras matter. They don't.
They don't.
That's my phone.
What does matter is thematic material that reoccurs through the entire film.
Right, because and
this
music.
Piano, the little 2-chord little tag there, everywhere in this.
Everywhere.
I just stuck it everywhere because it works so well.
It's the theme
everywhere.
for the film. Yeah. Here we go. So I'm gonna let Wayne introduce himself here, on the shoot, and these were his lights.
Mr. Musker?
Sometimes. Can I help you?
Look at this shot. Amazing.
Got a minute?
So Wayne had brought some lights in the back of his car as well, and we ended up using them because the church was so dark that even I couldn't get away with just shooting in it, as much as I like not lighting stuff.
Well, if you had your Sony A7S.
I do now, and my God, this whole scene would be even darker.
No, I'm going to have with me sitting here talking to you.
But yeah, he brought some beers and he brought some lights, and they did this scene on the pews. Something specific. I don't know if people know this. I only have one camera. It's the T3i for this movie. So every time you see a cut,
you're repositioning the camera. Time.
So every time we do a take, it's actually the whole scene, like the whole scene all the way through. Every time we do a take, so that's why it was so difficult with like I was saying earlier with Steve with the technical issues, is that you're doing it all in pieces, but you do 3 or 4 takes total in 9 pieces. It's really fucking annoying because you have just 45 minutes of footage to sort through.
I'm not going to disclose that.
Luckily, by this point, this was later in the week that we were shooting. We shot all this in like 4 or 5 days. This was later in the week, and I had fixed that issue and used a different memory card, so it was fixed. Oh, but this night, we shot all of Wayne's stuff in the same night. Dylan Drost showed up to help us out. Shout out to Dylan. Because at that point, I hadn't seen him in 2 or 3 years. And I just texted him, like, hey, I need a hand on set. Would you be interested? He came right after work and just went to the church on Perkiomen, the Lutheran church, and helped us out for like till midnight, 8 to midnight. Yeah, Dylan Drost, man, he's a great guy. This is the parking lot of the church. That's a church. So real quick addendum that's going to not have any explanation. I was homeless, and I stayed in that church, and it's where I got the idea to shoot in that church later. And I emailed them and told them about Family Promise that I had been a part of and all this stuff, and they were super, super happy to have us there. And they literally just gave us the keys and were like, here you go, lock it after you're done. I'm like, okay, what should I be gone by? And they said, we don't care. It was really really nice having that freedom. I think this shot is a little overlit. I know it's supposed to be dark and she's supposed to be asleep, but I think that
I was gonna say this is
Yeah.
probably the most confusing part of the film.
it's a scene that would have made more sense if we had kept the ghost shit.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
you know what? I can't change it now. So
Well,
we're just gonna watch.
I'm just here to explain to the audience who's watching that there's a ghost here. This was supposed to be
Yeah.
a scene where the ghost reveals itself to.
Yep, Carla.
Carla,
She's having an involuntary
she's-
flashback in her dreams
in her-
to
yeah.
her see the temperature goes down because there's supposed to be a
'Cause,
ghost
you know,
there.
there's a ghost, and that's what
Yeah.
happens when ghosts show up.
This shot was gotten with me with a towel over my head, so you couldn't see my reflection in the doorknob. Mackenzie really did scream in Amanda's bathroom. With
And
like
this is
5
supposed to be
seconds.
like a
Yes,
miscarriage. Like
she
flashback
had
to
a miscarriage. So that's what Sam mentions at the beginning with before after the baby. Yeah. So again, it's very very shut the fuck up. It's very very light exposition, but it is there. But there's a line between like vague exposition and poor exposition,
Yeah.
and I think this skirts the line so heavily I'm not actually sure which one it is. This shot's great though.
Oh yeah.
I put a mask around the window to turn it more blue, and then everything else is turned more orange to make it look like it's really early morning and the sunlight is just peeking through. Oh, that's a good shot too. This is a good cue too.
This was some newer material that I came up with kind of on the fly.
Yeah.
I saw him again last night.
There's the piano tag again.
It's always the start. It's the best intro for everything.
This time you called to me instead of screaming.
There he is. That's David's son. I think his name is Anthony. I don't remember.
Scary.
I like that little match cut. That was not planned, so I was very happy with it.
Yeah.
Also, this is technically a visual effect shot, that wide shot. My brother's arm and boom are over top where the black bar is.
Amateur.
And I literally told him just do it because I know I could take it out later, and I did.
Yeah, true. Which is weird because Robert's so tall. I don't know how he got in the shot.
He was just because he had to be so far to the left because of how long the things were.
Oh, gotcha.
He needed, and the microphone would have been too high above their heads. We need to bring him in at an angle.
He thinks that if there are answers,
We tried doing it from below, and I think there was like an AC noise or something.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Why
Yeah.
all of these ifs?
Frank told me the pattern is only broken in one place.
Mackenzie's hair here was a decision that she backed up. It was basically like you haven't slept. I mean, this is the morning after she's had her nightmare, and you saw her. She was like
yeah.
sweat stuck to her face.
She ain't gonna get like
She's-
fully presentable. She's just
No.
gonna get back to work and
Yeah.
ignore the fact that she just had a nightmare. And
Ignore
should
her
probably Go to
miscarriage.
therapy.
Right, exactly. By the way, she's fucking her therapist. Is the guy she's been fucking for the past year. There's a Mockingbird too, and I'll explain what the opening shot of that is at the end of this movie, because it's sad. Maybe not sad, but
It's this whole
not
thing.
happy.
It's all
Yeah.
there.
This part of the dialogue is what her just trying to like kind of convince.
I think he wasn't lying.
She's trying to get permission. So like,
Okay, yeah, that's what I was.
she's
looking for.
investigating JJ's death, right? But she's found 50 other cases.
Right, because there's a
And-
tie between JJ's death and the other
Right,
50.
and she's like, "Where does it start?" This guy told me Rose. Well, fuck him. I'm not gonna. I need to go into JJ's. She went into JJ's, found out he's telling the truth, and was like, "Well, fuck. You know what? Rose's file might be where everything is, where the missing piece is, because Rose is the only one who never showed up. Also, Allie's coming up. Allie's 5-second shot. God bless her is coming up. There she is,
Same woods as JJ did later.
and
That's all the kids did.
that was it. That's her whole performance. She really shot for like 2 or 3 days. She was awesome. She did a really good job, and I'm so pissed that there isn't more stuff of her in the movie. But after, I mean, she had one great scene with Cosmos that was her coming back as like a ghost and slamming against the wall, and she had this great makeup and everything, and I had to cut it all because it didn't fit anymore. And it's the first time I've had to delete scenes like that,
You think this is the way?
and it made me upset, and I don't want to do that again.
This was a meme that we made during post production.
Oh yeah.
This is the way.
Okay. Here we go. Back to Frank. He's not a dick this time.
I wouldn't have used all my insults if I knew you were coming back. What do you want?
So all this is me in terms of all this was my writing, except for the very last line that makes me cackle. So we'll listen to
Oh,
this.
Okay.
gave me her blessing. Seems like a better start than nothing.
Well, then I guess I'm happy to see you.
That's the end of me.
Now get in here before the neighbors start taking pictures.
And that was all Steve. So another lesson I learned is just because I don't like a line on set doesn't mean it's not way better than anything I could have written. Because that particular line, Steve just thought it was funny, and he brought it up. He's like, "What do you think?" And I told him, I'm like, "Oh, I don't really care for it, but we'll just shoot both." So we shot my version, which ends with, "Then I guess I'm happy to see you," or "Come on in," or something like that. And we shot his version, which is, "Now get in here before the neighbors start taking pictures." And when I first got that into the edit, I
Or substituted Jill to
loudly cackled. It was very, very funny for me.
fucking Swiss cheese factory.
I like the way he delivers that line. More holes in a fucking Swiss cheese factory. That was in
Yeah.
the script, and I was iffy on how I wanted him to say it, and he did a great job. That's exactly how I needed it.
I can think of is slightly
Also, part of the reason this whole house is blue is because my dad had blue curtains, and it cast blue light on everything. So I just emphasized that in post, and everything's blue in Frank's world.
got a decent inheritance.
I think this is almost the best exposed shot in the film.
Yeah, I think so.
This one and him, because almost, because you can see the side of his face, and you got a little bit of detail in the shadows, whereas everyone else basically just has a rim light
Yeah.
and nothing else.
My parents took out a $250,000 insurance policy on Rose and started a college.
$250,000 insurance policy.
Yeah, their parents were rich.
Nobody profited from it.
So what's great about this exposition is that he's an investigator, right? He's been doing this for 30 years. He has it all compiled. He has it all memorized. So he's able to deliver it in a succinct, nice way. It was actually the hardest thing to write in the script because I'm not succinct as a person, and I don't know what I'm talking about in terms of investigation. So it was a lot of learning what the fuck. Hello? There they go. They found Rose. It's a lot of learning about what does that actually sound like whenever an investigator is relaying information to you, as well as coming up with, okay, Frank is Annie's brother. Where did the money come from? Was there money? All this other stuff that needed to be there to muddy the water, because I knew what happened. I knew Frank killed her by accident and buried her because he was afraid. Why has no one caught him yet? Because there's all this insurance money, and there's this thing, and there's that thing, and they're not sure about this, and they never found the body. So it's a mixed bag, and it's a small town police force that just kind of gave
Yeah,
up
it's
on
not
it.
like it's not like your NYPD or your
No, it's not the
LA
FBI, and
police
this isn't Ted
department.
Bundy. This is just some girl went missing in some small town, and okay, that sucks. And then we took a couple years, couldn't find her. More kids start disappearing. They're like, well, we gotta go to the most recent disappearance. We can't just focus on Rose because you're asking us to. And slowly but surely, the case gets buried, and until someone is hired with a fresh pair of eyes to come do it. And I mean, the answer is a supernatural ghost did it. So,
Yes.
most local police officers aren't going to find that, and otherwise we wouldn't have a movie. I like that shot. Oh, so about Wayne's scenes, all his stuff was shot in the same night, and I had brought. So the card that was giving me problems was a 64 gigabyte SD card, which on a T3i lasts for like hours of footage. For this day, because that one had broken and was giving me issues, I used my 32 gigabyte card, and we filled it up before we were done shooting. And it was 10:30 p.m., so there was no Target open, nothing open to go buy
Yeah.
another one, nor did I have any money to. So we had to strategically delete takes, which is the scariest shit to do on set. Yeah.
That just
Yeah.
makes me uncomfortable.
So I took like 20 minutes, sat down, watched my shit back, and was like, okay, this is the winner, this is the winner, this is the winner, this isn't. Cleared my room, and kept shooting as economically as possible. As soon as I called cut, I hit the record button to stop.
Yeah, no
was-
wasted time.
Yeah, this was the one time where it's like, no, don't count to 5 before you call cut. As soon as it's done, call cut, because we don't have room for that. And now it's funny because I'm shooting with the A7S now and the Ninja. Like, I think I shot a 15-minute video of me talking, and it was 24 gigabytes of data.
Wow.
I know. It is in 4K, but even so, like, there was nothing at all in Carla that was anywhere near that. Also, quick praise for Wayne. He was in Abigail. He worked with me for a day. Didn't see him again for 2 years. Came back for this project. Was super excited about this project he had done in Italy called What Death Leaves Behind, which he looks great in. I haven't watched the film yet, but I did watch the trailer. And he was talking about his character and also telling stories, which was great. But he was talking about his character, and I gave him the direction here of like, you're defending yourself like a kid who kind of knows that they've done something wrong, but doesn't want it. But you don't know that they've done something wrong, so they're offended that you're accusing them of doing something wrong, even though they did it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like that specific note of like, you know you fucked up, but you can't admit it
You
to
gotta
yourself.
like, it's like you're going too hard to
Yeah,
prove
it's an
yourself-
overcorrection.
like, prove yourself innocent.
These are just shots of geese that I had one day. This is near my old house. The area is not nearly as pretty as the shot may entail, and they cost too much in rent, and I don't like them. This is outside my dad's old house, or current house.
Is this the first time you hear this theme?
I think it is. At least this expanded, because we finally had the quiet. There's Nina.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it happens in the credits in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
but not as much of an exposition
Right.
than this part is.
This is-
musically speaking.
This is prior to coronavirus being a thing. That cough was meant to indicate, like, terminal disease of some sort.
Patient zero of coronavirus.
Yeah, Steve. This is great. Love that. Yeah, all my characters drink coffee because I drink a lot of coffee, and I, define
Yeah,
myself by that.
You reflect yourself into your characters.
Yeah,
We get it.
I know how all my characters take their coffee. Yeah, I can name it actually. But I'm not going to. Carla and Frank both take it black. I don't think Nina drinks coffee, or Jamie drinks coffee. She smokes, but she doesn't drink coffee. That's interesting. I feel like cigarettes taste worse than just black coffee.
Probably.
No, I can't. I'm supposed to.
This was a fun scene. So Nina, God bless Nina. So originally it was, this is the one gender flip character I've ever done in my life, because I usually write, intentionally. This was originally his son, James. And the actor that was supposed to be in there couldn't be. And I asked Mackenzie, I was like, I'm really, I'm struggling. Do you have any idea? And she mentioned Nina. And I called Nina, and she said yes. And she drove 2 hours from New Jersey to be there.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, she did a great job. What I love about Nina is that she's in the movie for like less than half of it. I think we're more than halfway through the movie right now, and she's one of the key characters. Like, you remember her. That's impressive considering she's not in it.
Yeah.
Very much.
Considering she, like, drops the bombshell.
Yeah, she has. Oh, I guess that might be why. I guess because that cafe scene is so good. That was the first thing we shot.
Right, that's
Yeah,
right.
so we'll talk more about that once we get there. Also, the reason it gets darker throughout the scene is because the clouds move. That's not me being dramatic. That's God being dramatic. So I take credit. But
So I take credit.
but it's true. Like when you're doing cinematography with natural light, you kind of have to deal with the fact that you might lose 3 stops of exposure or gain 3 stops of exposure with 0 warning. This was a dangerous shot because it's actually this is one of the few shots that move.
That's right.
I don't move the camera usually, and I don't like the little jitters, but no one
Yeah,
else
you
cares,
mentioned that to
so-
me the other day.
No one else cares, so I can't pretend I do.
Yeah, no.
This is great. Robert is laying in the back of the Celica.
That's right.
With a microphone right by Mackenzie, and Nina is about 10 feet behind the car, sitting on a curb, calling or answering her phone.
Hi, Jamie?
So you
Carla, we just met in your father's
I wasn't on set this day, so
Mm-hmm.
you just had him point the microphone at the phone on speaker?
Yeah, it's
right.
right by her elbow. That's where the microphone is. So he's literally just laying in the back of the Celica with the trunk open, recording
Nice.
the speakerphone and the dialogue at the same time. Yeah.
It's actually
Yes, ma'am.
pretty amazing how you can kind of, still make out the message, or not the message, but
Yeah.
the audio from a cell phone.
It's because people are used to just talking on speakerphones, so
Yeah,
they can
I'd say so.
translate it. Because if we did this in post, we absolutely would have made that more legible.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like, oh no, it's too.
Oh, I made a. I gave you a critique about this that you went and changed.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, remember you had the cell phone ringing first.
Oh,
And then I noticed
yeah.
that Mackenzie had this like look where she looked over kind of like slightly. I was like, that looks like she's looking at that cell phone ringing on the table.
Right.
You should put that first, then the cell phone, and
That's
then
my
her
sister.
looking
That's my
confused.
sister's hands. Yeah, this was in my dad's kitchen.
This
yeah,
is
you're right.
why I
That was-
have producer credits.
This is why he's actually the director of the film. And I take credit. He's like, I'm like a 5-year-old boy. He just lets me take credit. He's like, good job, and lets me go. This was all shot. So this is all the first day too. This was shot on the side of the building where we filmed the cafe thing. So this is all. I don't remember if it was before or after we shot the cafe stuff. Probably after. But this is right across the street from that theater we used to work with. Snack Shack, something or other. That's my hand. That's my cameo.
Musically, that is just a variation of the main thing.
Oh, quick note for anybody who gives a shit about the visuals. That vignette, that heavy vignette on the left side of the screen is real. That's just the lens that I had. That's not me in post.
Brag
Which is
about
why
it.
it's... No, I'm not bragging about it. It's just like it's weirdly dark only on the far left side of the image. It's because that's how my lens was. That's how my Helios works, and I love it. So,
Good old Helios.
yeah, beautiful lens. Beautiful lens. Love that shit.
The tried and true.
The tried and true. The blessed. Anyway, back to this fucking thing. This is our first scene. So this was same day, or day before we shot Frank stuff. So we're actually shooting with the fucked up card this day before I know it's fucked up. I thought it was the camera. And they're just, it's weird. This is like kind of a lull, excuse me, lull in the movie, which is just, debatably, it's just a movie full with lulls of just people talking. But this is a bit where we slow down and kind of literally just start explaining what has happened, what is happening, and where it's going. A little bit clunky, but I think it's sold well. Even if the writing is flawed, I think the performances and everything really sells it.
Well,
Also,
yeah, I mean, this scene is another one where, again, it literally is just you're watching two people have a conversation. You know,
I mean, you can just watch, like, Nina's eyes. Like, again, Mackenzie gets so much love throughout because we just take her for granted. She's amazing the whole time. But Nina's here for basically this scene and a sad look at the end.
yeah,
And she gets a smirk, like, oh, hi, like, as she's passing Mackenzie 5 minutes ago. So, like, she has very little to work with, and she just shines. Like, her eyes are great.
How does everybody else see it?
Anyway, back to, sorry, I think I interrupted you. Were you saying something? Or was I saying something?
no.
Okay. Well, yeah, this was the first thing we shot, and when we, Nina had found out about the script maybe
Picture of him holding me as a newborn,
half a week earlier, if that, like 4 days, 3 days.
seeing him on
So she had found out this script exists, let's say 4 days before she showed up on set. This was all shot in the afternoon. I think this was from 4 to 7 or 5 to 7 or something, whenever they closed. And while we still had light. It was July, so we had a lot of light, but I didn't want to keep the people there for too long. So, yeah, we shot from then, and we had been rehearsing the whole day beforehand, starting at 11 to like 3. Then I took everybody out for lunch. I don't think I paid for everybody. I just took them to lunch. And then, yeah, we went straight into shooting our first day, and it turned out pretty good. Everyone was pretty happy after this day because it was
she paid me for the job.
turned out good. Look at Mackenzie's eyes.
I know.
Until the money
There's not a whole lot of color in this movie, so
That's
it's very
not.
nice.
That's not edited, right?
That was not
that's
me.
just her
No.
eye color.
That's just her eyes shining in the. I mean, it's the first time we get to see her well lit, so her eyes are beautiful. They,
yeah,
they
that is
shine.
true.
What are you saying?
The reason he's mentioning about the edit is because there is a bit later where I edited her eyes to stand out more. And originally she looked like what was the fucking character from Game of Thrones?
Oh, the White Walkers.
Yeah, she looked like a White
Like,
Walker from
yeah,
Game of
just
Thrones.
Ice blue eyes.
Yeah, and glowing. So I took that down a notch. It's still a little. It's still, if you know it's there, you see it, but it's not too distracting anymore.
And he is losing.
And this is interesting. We're in one of our new movies where I'm also revisiting the idea of a character with a terminal illness. But instead of having Frank has some undisclosed terminal disease. when in this newer movie, it's the result of what happens after they go. In this case, it's Frank bitterly and angrily, tooth and nail fighting his way to the grave because he doesn't want to go, and he doesn't give a fuck, and he's gonna curse out his cancer or whatever it is to his dying breath.
One of my favorite lines is actually in this scene where she's talking about his attitude towards dying and how the cancer treatment, causes weight loss as a side effect. He goes, I ain't going to make it any easier to lower me into my grave
struggle.
or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, Frank is a real bastard, but he's a genuine bastard, and he's also not a bastard. By the end of this movie, I don't think anyone dislikes him. Even though he just spends the entire time being rude as shit to everybody he walks across.
Yeah.
Meaning just Mackenzie, but I like
in case you missed that, she handed her like a necklace. It's a ring on a little chain.
That was
this is
be
another
more
portion.
Of a thing. Yeah, that was going to be more thing in the original film. But
right. This is another. Just like the scene earlier with the ghost and the temperature fluctuation in the flashback.
Yeah.
This definitely could have used more.
Yeah, but live and learn. Also, this was Mackenzie's butt shot. This was actually one of the first things she shot. This was her first shoot day. We just went up to the spot that I shoot everything and shot for a day to kind of get acquainted with the character. The first scene we shot was that cafe thing.
Yeah.
But this was just looks and stuff. This is actually a different place. This is my house, about 90 miles away from our last location. That was real. That was not
real
me.
twinkle.
That was a real twinkle, and I kept it. This is a still image because I had put my tripod on a car and it was vibrating. And now we're back to Neversink.
Also, just my time to fucking shine in this entire film.
You get several minutes. This is my friend Herbie's truck. That is a real crack in his windshield. And this is Cosmos digging the grave as hard as he can. My God, that ground was compressed. And God bless him, he's really going for it.
Just like your movie on YouTube.
Yep. Compressed. Oh, that's a funny joke. So I think Kaz did a great job with very little. I mean, he doesn't get any words.
I mean, you casted him for this scene specifically.
I cast him basically to sit there quietly and look. And
then
look
like a younger version of Wayne.
And then to grow a beard and look like Wayne.
Right.
And it was weird how much he looked like Wayne. That was a very, very strange. Because he had just grown out the beard and texted me about something. I'm like, what do you think about this character? And he said, oh yeah, that sounds interesting. And I'm like, can you just send me a picture of you in like a polo jacket? Because it was one of the scenes that was cut where he'd be in a jacket. And he sent me this picture, and it was weird.
Uncanny.
Like, he had the same facial hair.
Yeah.
It was very weird. It was great, but it was very weird. This is a small visual effect shot. That little patch in the top left-ish is getting brighter and more yellow to emulate the sun coming up. It's very subtle over the course of the shot.
Should we tell them about how this whole film and music marriage was an accident at best?
He had written a piece of music just over the course of the time we'd been there, and like, okay, let's lay it down someplace. And we just picked a spot because there was no
it's a Logic Pro
here.
Session. Like, I record anywhere, and I can drag it wherever I need to.
Just dragged it where it needed. And, okay, this is a great... Hold on. Look, quick shot between him with his beard and Wayne. And... maybe it doesn't translate as much through the film, but it looks weird in person. As someone who's met both of them, it's very strange. Anyway, back to... So we dropped this track just in here. This is a visual effect shot, by the way. No one has been able to tell yet. But we don't own a drone, so that is in Blender. We dropped this track, and it just fit miraculously well with like the whole back half of the movie. It was very weird. This is an A7S shot. That is also an A7S shot. This was taken because that's also an A7S shot where I was just out on the trail walking and playing with my camera that I'd just gotten, wanted to get good with it, found this beautiful piece of green grass growing exactly where Cosmos had been digging a hole 6 months earlier. It was very weird, and I added it into the movie because it was too weird not to include in there. It was too good. So this is where the scene with the jail cell would have gone, so it'd be an additional 5 minutes here, and then cut to this reaction as someone on the radio is mentioning.
This is a good scene because it's just silent after you get all this music and stuff.
Yeah.
And you hear nothing but the clock ticking.
Yeah. And that weird offbeat cut when we cut to Nina's character here, Jamie. And there we go. That's not a real cigarette. She had like a stunt cigarette or something like that. I don't know what it is. I want to get one because I like having some of my characters smoke because smoke looks good on camera, but I hate cigarettes because they stink. So it's it didn't smell, which is nice. It smelled like burning paper as opposed to
tobacco.
Cancer.
Hey,
Yeah.
I smoked a cigar on set once.
Yeah, but you were also 10 feet in front of me, so I was okay with that. And we were outside, like on the side of a mountain. That's
Boy,
it. That's an
I had a
Abigail.
hefty workload at the end of this film, bro.
Yeah. My God, you had a busy back
This was
half
like
of the year.
theme 2. There was theme 1, and then this is theme 2.
This is an iPhone shot of me driving to New York. My now fiance is asleep in the passenger seat. This is outside the Oli Dairy. Literally right
Really?
next to the Oli Dairy. That's another iPhone shot. Again, your camera doesn't matter. Anyone who tells you different is trying to sell you something. Like the 2-week filmmaker course. My fucking God. Sorry, off topic. Anyway, Oli Dairy still. And this is same
this is
day.
your favorite
Yeah.
piece of music.
I love this music. And this was always meant to be silent, so we didn't record dialogue for it. Just listen to that piece. Look at that.
And then ends on an F chord, I think, or a C chord. I can't remember.
It should be an F because it started on an F. It started with a fuck, so it should probably start with end on an F.
And then this random
yeah.
I wrote this piece one day, and you said it sounded like Finding Nemo. And then
Yeah, in a good way though.
And then I added the Michael Giacchino Lost, or what was it?
Yeah, we have an overt reference to Michael Giacchino. So if he ever watches it, that was on purpose. And also, thank you for watching. I'm sorry it wasn't better. But I mean, we have Memory of Wayne Shearer. That was always planned to put up front because I'm pretty sure this is the last film he's in.
Mine.
I think
very
at least
well be.
released. I mean, there might be one other. I mean, he was in a lot of movies. So maybe there's another one that released, but I think this is the last one. Might be wrong, but it was one of the last ones at least. It was not the last one he appeared in chronologically, but it was the last one released. There's
Right.
Jamie. There's Jamie Hubert. Thank you so much for dealing with my shit. Cinema EOS Canon. I mean, not really. It's T3i, but looks nice. There's that nice little resolution.
And the Merm.
And the Merm.
Who's Mr. M? I mean, the thing is, as the people who made it,
Yeah.
we've been watching this film for, what,
long
3
time.
years now?
Yeah, every day since July of 2018
Yeah, it's like,
through to November of last year, Thanksgiving.
it's weird because being the two-man production crew that we are, after everything is shot,
Yeah.
like, in the big Hollywood films, the actors and all the crew goes to the premiere because they don't know what it looks like as the final
Yeah, they get kind
product.
of surprised, which
When-
can be good or bad. But
When
yeah.
you hand me the final cut,
Yeah.
I know what the movie's gonna look like.
Yeah, and you watch it 400 times.
I watch it a million times,
trying
and
to
then
figure out
score
what it should
it,
sound like.
and then rescore it,
Mm-hmm.
and then revert it back to the previous score that I like better.
Right? It's like you're doing this with and without me. So like I'll come over once a week, I think was our
Yeah.
once-ish a week.
But that's the thing, like, you come over and then you see snippets of what I have completed.
Right.
And then by the end of the process, you as well have seen the film in its entirety.
105 times. Yep.
So, like, it's really not a huge deal when we release it to us.
Yeah, because we've
Because it's not a
watched a
surprise.
lot. I mean, so my first time doing a premiere feature on YouTube was this movie. I released it and I shared it everywhere because it was. So I'm not usually sentimental, and I don't usually care what people from high school, for example, might think of me.
Yeah, no, fuck that.
But I did want, like, I had been talking about movies for the longest time, right? And I kind of released Abigail, just threw it out there, shared it once.
Abigail was kind of like a proof of concept.
It was, and I was embarrassed by that because I was like, no, I wanted this to be Citizen Kane, and it's not. Which is not a sin. It's just that I was embarrassed because I wasn't, flawless on my first try. Mockingbird's a lot better than Abigail is.
Yes,
it's a lot,
by
but
a long shot.
It's trying to bite off a lot more, and
it's
it gets away with a lot.
100% because the audio is
Yes,
way
because you
better.
can hear it without wanting to stab yourself in the ears. But you have a much more successful film, but it's also me being more humbled by my initial thing.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? I need to market this. I need to do at least a little bit of marketing. So I made a group, 50 or 60 people in there, and
That's
shared
right, you
it.
did.
And
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I was embarrassed the whole time because I hate marketing.
It is weird. It's just like I hate promoting myself.
I feel like a slut. I feel like I'm
like-
like, please watch my thing. Please watch my thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
I know there's actually good stuff that you could be watching, but please watch my thing. I worked really hard on it, and so did everyone else. Please, please, please. And once you get over the embarrassment of marketing, it is essential. And it led to a big. I think 900 people watched in the first week or something like that, or maybe or
something
first 2
like
weeks or
that.
something. It was a big thrust in the beginning, which is great. Because people gave a shit, and they kind of, people I didn't even think about, like Amrit. I don't remember his last name, but Amrit.
Yep.
I've talked to him a couple times since high school, but not I don't talk to anyone.
And
on the daily.
apparently, like, his family has like a movie theater room in their house.
Really?
And I'm pretty sure he commented on one of your posts on Facebook that
my
he put
God.
his dad put it on the big fucking screen.
I hope that's true. If you listen to this podcast, thank you, Amrit. But he's someone who I hadn't really spoken to a whole lot.
I think they do. Like,
Yeah.
I vaguely just remember him mentioning that
If
somewhere
I
in one
had
of the
it, I
posts.
would definitely watch it in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but he wasn't someone that I'd spoken to every day in high school, nor had I spoken to him every day since, because I don't even speak to you every day.
No, I mean, we say this all the time. Like, when I text you or you text me, like,
Yeah.
it's gonna be 3 to 7 business days before we get a response from each other.
Right, and
That's just how it is.
I don't text anyone, like my family or anybody, unless something's important or unless I have a stupid idea and I want to send you something.
True.
But even so, I mean, Amrit, and I keep saying Amrit, but it's true. He was one of the people that watched my thing, gave a shit, and commented about it, and told me that he liked it. And I was like, nice.
Yeah. Well,
this is a nice feeling.
And then we went to the Philly outlets with Katie and Harrison,
Mm-hmm.
and Katie was actively asking about watching it. But at that point in
Yeah.
time, we didn't have it completed yet.
Yeah, I think we were a few months shy.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I
So-
just watched Chernobyl, and we were talking about that with Harrison.
It's just weird how, like, we do this for ourselves, but then people show that they actually care about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they give a shit.
And it's, surprising,
Yeah.
to put it simply.
It's nice. It's just, you don't expect it because you're like, oh, you were actually... Someone else knew that I was working on this thing? I thought it
Yeah,
was just me.
exactly. You mean I haven't been under this rock looking at this same screen for 2 years?
Yeah.
Other people know about this, and I'm not just doing this.
Yeah. And now with, moving forward, Mockingbird is all... Every film is, when you're doing it, you're doing your best, right? And by the
Right.
time it comes out, it immediately becomes a lesson. So I always do postmortems on my own films. With Abigail, it was, number fucking 0. Number -1 was the audio. That was an obvious work to get a functional microphone and don't have Courtney's sister lay on the floor 10 feet away. You idiot. To myself. That was a memo I wrote to
Wait.
myself. That's
What?
part of why it sucked so badly is because, Courtney's sister was great. She was doing what I asked her to do. And what I asked her to do was stupid.
But you just don't know how to run audio.
I didn't know anything about audio.
You do now.
I have a much better idea. Yeah, get the microphone fucking closer. That's
Yeah.
step one. But yeah, it was a number 1 on the list was audio, and then after that it was like, okay, I want to get more into directing characters. Ashley, not Gantert, Ashley Kofelt, who was in Abigail as well. She's a director and she's amazing, and she gave me the advice of like, as a director on the first movie, I wasn't really directing. I was like looking for suggestions. I remember I said to Courtney, I was like, oh, what do you think? Do you think we should get anything else? And it's like, the reason I'm saying that from my perspective at the time was like, oh, I like collaborating. But what it sounds like is, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Do
Yeah.
you think I should shoot something else? And it's like, you don't do that as a director. That's not how you phrase it. You could say like, does anyone have any ideas for shots that they'd like to add on to this? I think we're in a good space. But you don't say, I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, phrase it more of like, does
Phrase it
anyone have any
differently.
ideas
Right.
that would enhance this experience?
That'd be fun because you and Corey both added to Abigail and Mockingbird. You gave me the editing thing.
I gave you the opening shot to Abigail.
Yes, you did. So, and you're in it. So like,
Yeah.
it's listen to your collaborators, bring them in, but don't. As a director, you have to seem like you know what you're going for. You can't just say like, I don't know. What do you think? Anyway, when Ashley gave me that advice, I took it very seriously and I wrote it down. I'm like, okay, pick a direction, go for it. Much more intimately involved with the acting side of it, because as a director, you're supposed to be directing actors, not lining up pretty shots. And I was almost exclusively in Abigail, just lining up pretty shots.
To be fair, again, being the two-man production crew that we
Right.
are, you have to wear multiple hats. So
Yes.
you have to be the director, the writer, and the
Right.
cinematographer.
But the priority has to be at least in scenes where it's like a scene where it's
Where you're not necessarily manning the camera, you're just hitting the button.
yeah, and
you
waiting
know?
for it. Like, just line up the shot, make sure it looks good, sure. But priority is, can I see Steve's face? Can I see Mackenzie's face? Great. That's our important
And
shit.
my responsibility is, can I hear Steve's face? And
Yeah.
can I hear Mackenzie's face?
Can I hear the emotion behind the eyebrows? I think one of our cues, the last cue in the movie, is actually cued based on Nina's eyebrow going down.
Yes.
Is where we start
yeah,
playing
the
it.
musical cue was when she hugs Frank, and she kind of like does that like scrunched up cry face with the eyebrows.
she breaks and her eyebrow scrunches. I'm like, there you go. That's your cue. Yeah, I mean, with moving forward with that, like learning the lessons from Mockingbird, I was like, okay, first of all, have a better script up front. Second of all, be more consistent is one thing, and learn to give the space to breathe. Like, at the end of a take, wait 5 seconds before you call cut. And my 5 seconds are way too quick, so wait 5 extra seconds. And then call cut. It forces your actors to live in the moment for a hot second more. And I mean, at worst, they just say, like, are we done? Like, was that it? Or am I missing something? Or they'll give you something. They'll give you something you might be able to use. And it usually works out for the better. And if it doesn't, I mean, you just don't use it. It's not harmful. It's harmless. And yeah, for Ava, it's now a lesson of like, okay, we have our workflow figured out. We have a pretty solid script. We have a lot of actors who are good at what they're doing. They know the script.
You know what? It's funny you say that, because that's another like step. And this is actually before Abigail. I mean, like, granted.
Oh yeah.
Granted, you were how old and I was how old, and you know.
It was 24. Blades in the Crowd is what you're mentioning, right?
Just it's that and a bunch of other dead projects that never saw the light of day.
It was all that summer, more or less. It was
Like,
the summer of 2014, so
you
I
know,
was just turned 18.
You take a big step when you stop gathering all of your friends to film stuff, and you actually go out and get talent.
Yeah. Like,
you know what I mean?
Mackenzie drove here from, I mean, she took the train, but she came here from New York. I think Ashley was, not Ashley Kofeld, Ashley Gantert was in Australia.
Really?
Like 2 weeks prior to being here. She didn't come here for that. She had just been in Australia already. Or maybe she was going to Australia. I don't remember. All the other actors were all actually local to here, but 90 minutes away from where I was living.
And you kind of recruited them from the local theater.
From the Crucible. Yeah, we watched them in the Crucible, and I was like, you know what? If you can do that, I know you can do this. And if you're interested, I would love to have you. Nina came from New Jersey. Just a phone call and was like, yep, I'm down. And she came in. And yeah, it was just this, and even with Abigail, I mean, I met Ashley and Courtney spontaneously somehow, some magical way. And they agreed to come up from Maryland to be in my film. God bless them. Thank you. And then for this one, I mean, they're mostly local actually, but they're similar people from the theater, but they're all a lot younger. They're all, I mean, Licia, I think, is 20 or 21.
Right.
Olivia's the same age. Amy, I worked with. Amy Hudak is playing the mom of one of the characters, and I met her at First Street for like one day, and I liked the way she looked in one of the shots, and I had to like scour what her name was because I didn't write it down anywhere, and I didn't have it in the
We
piece.
don't have
like,
auditions for our parts. We just like the way people look.
I watch you in something, or I work with you by accident, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll log that away. With Olivia, I had seen her in pieces, and also with Alicia, who's playing Ava in Ava, I directed her. I watched her in The Crucible. She played Abigail. I prefer her to Winona Ryder. She's
That's
great.
right.
In rehearsals, I prefer her. She was awesome. Watching her get directed and adjust without an agenda was awesome. Because this is years before I ever thought about Ava. And at some point, I mean, I came in one day and they're like, hey, we need a video. I'm like, okay, sure. What do you want? And like, we don't know. We have 30 minutes to shoot it. I'm like, okay, where the fuck can I shoot some puritanical shit outside in Birdsboro, which is for people who don't know, which is everyone. Birdsboro is is an industrial small town. Like there's a factory on the
Barely.
horizon, and there's
More of
there's
like a
power
rundown
lines.
industrial town.
Yeah, it's Pennsylvania. They're suffering.
Yeah.
But you have like power lines and old buildings and a factory on the horizon. Like,
And there's like
it's-
one main street that goes down the center of
there's
it.
no Puritan anything anywhere, and we had to go to a park. So I went to a park and just aimed the camera at the sky, and
Wasn't that Daniel Boone Homestead?
no, we got kicked off.
You guys
that.
got kicked out of there.
Yeah, we were
that's
doing
right.
we were doing photos on Daniel Boone Homestead. We should have done the video there if we were going to get kicked off anyway. If I had known.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, we went to the park and we shot this little promo, and I hadn't watched The Crucible in a long time, and also I can't portray the story of the fucking Crucible in 30 seconds. So I was like, okay, we're just gonna lean into the witchy shit. And I think the direction I gave Licia was evil bitch, or evil hoe, or something like that.
Evil hoe.
Yes. So, just to clarify, I said evil hoe to this girl for about 30 minutes straight, right? Cool. On our way back, someone mentions that she's 16 years old, and I looked at everybody. I'm like, why in the fuck did no one stop me? The first time I say evil hoe to a 16-year-old is when you tell me she's 16, don't call her that. And I'd be like, great, understood. Evil
Dude,
witch.
16-year-olds are using worse language than that.
I was 22. That's why I cared. And I'm like, I'm not about to give this girl emotional scars or just be rude.
That's fair.
But I mean, she didn't care, but I cared. I was like, come on, she's a kid. So fast forward to the beginning of the greatest year ever, 2020, and I just moved and I'm doing the script, and I can't stop thinking about Licia. I'm like, oh, she was really good in The Crucible. Fuck, she was really good in The Crucible. She's like the right age, isn't she? Just like 19 or something. She can play a 17-year-old, you know. And I'm like, I have to. I haven't spoken to her at all in years.
Okay.
And I'd only spoken to her once in one play years ago. So like
One time.
Once is when I've spoken to her. So I just messaged her on Instagram. I'm like, hi, I know you don't know who I am. I was a photographer on The Crucible. I'm making a movie. Would you like to read it? It's 50 pages of nonsense. It's a vomit pass that will give you an idea of what the final film will be. There's really fucked up shit in it. Here you go. And she read it, and thank God she liked it. And that's kind of where what the hell was that? And that's kind of where we started. Sorry, there was a bang on the roof. That's why we made that comment. That's where we started of just like, oh, thank God she said yes. Now I can, because I'd had her face in my head as I was writing this, and I just needed to know, like, if she says no.
Thank God she said yes. Is that
Thank
you
God.
during your...
when I proposed to Bree, yes. the whole back half of the video, I'm just cursing at
thank
her.
God
I'm like,
she
oh
said yes.
God, thank you. But yeah, I mean, Alicia was awesome, and she's perfect for the role. And she did a read through on Zoom, and she was crying in it. And like, that was not required. I did not ask for that. I asked we're just gonna do a cold read through. We're gonna go through the script and blah blah blah, just to hear what it sounds like, right? This girl was crying, and she was selling it through a shitty webcam.
Wow.
And at Temple University, and I was like, oh, I cast this movie well. Because like everyone else did. I mean, actually there's a guy you haven't met yet, Jody. His name is Jody Reppert. He is playing Dad in the film. He's awesome. He's really good. And you'll see more of that. He got kind of emotional during the read through because he has 6 kids. So I'm sorry, I don't know if he has 6 kids. He has kids. I don't know why I keep saying 6 kids. I don't think he said that to me. But he has a bunch of kids, right?
Yeah.
And he has daughters, and he's gone through similar situations to what Ava's going through. So or watched it from Dad's perspective. So he was able to really connect with the character, and he gave a great read through. We'll talk more about Ava when we're doing Ava. But it's for direct references. Like Mockingbird was a lot better than Abigail. Not as good as I wanted it to be.
I'm still hoping Ava is just your working title.
It's not. It's the official title now. Because it's about Ava, and I know Abigail, Ava, Mockingbird was called Carla.
Used to be called Carla. Like,
yeah. Sorry, if you want to write a script, I'll take whatever name you give me. But yeah, sorry, we're doing Ava. The next movie's not called Ava though. The next movie's not called like Shiloh.
that's true.
So
Shiloh.
I'll alternate. I'll name one, and then the following one is just named after the protagonist. But yeah, after Ava's not in the bag, but once it starts, I think we're gonna have a lot of lessons learned from Mockingbird. Because like, oh yeah, this is what I was saying. Mockingbird was a lot better than Abigail, not as good as I wanted it to be, and I think that's okay. So now it's a
for
matter
your
of
second project total.
yeah, like it's pretty good for a second movie.
Yeah.
I think for the next film for Ava is the next thing. The goal is to aim higher, but aim smarter. If that makes any sense.
No, that 100% makes sense.
Yeah, like we're preparing ourselves for success by planning ahead of time. Yeah.
The thing I want is a little bit more variety in the style.
And the audio?
Nope.
Oh, you mean like me and like
Yes.
shooting?
Yeah, and the camera shots and the camera work.
Yeah, there's long extended acting shots where I'm going to be holding the camera and
Nice.
following
Good.
both cameras around or both
Dude,
characters.
I want to
around one
see
shot.
like amazing cinematography, like Oscar worthy
no
cinematography.
no pressure.
Like Roger Deakins style.
So
We're doing this all in one take.
That's the only cinematographer you know. That's why you're saying Roger Deakins. But I mean,
If
yeah,
you give me,
it's-
listen, if you give me Roger Deakins style cinematography,
You'll
I'll
give
give
me-
you John Williams style music.
Okay, so no pressure for either. This is how we're announcing Ava. We're like it's gonna have Roger Deakins cinematography, John Williams score,
Coming soon
and it was
to
written by
a
me.
YouTube channel near you.
Yeah, it was written by me. So how the fuck is it gonna sound, or how's the dialogue gonna be compared to that? I don't know. But
In a world.
you know, oh my
Just
god,
the movie trailer guy.
in a world where a sad girl does sad things for a sad amount of time. Yeah, I don't know. I think that Ava's going to be good. It's just right now, I mean, it's June, what is it?
11th.
June 11th. We're almost exactly a month away. We're shooting in a month and a day.
Oh,
So
fuck, we
yeah,
are, dude.
A month from
Damn.
today, we're doing the rehearsal, which is when everyone's coming to my house.
Oof.
And we're doing
Wow.
rehearsals for a
I gotta
day.
get my gear together again. Back in the
Yeah.
saddle, baby.
Back in the say, yeah, you
I
want
can
to make
actually beat. You'll just have to pick me up.
yeah, which is a great reversal because all of Abigail, you had to drive me around, so
Truth.
it's like we'll alternate that on movies too. Yeah, I think for Ava, we're pretty well set because we're organizing ahead of time. We have an infrastructure, we have a pipeline.
I think it's about time to stop the podcast.
Yeah, it's been going on too long. All right, well, bye guys.
See ya. It was fun.
And that is it on another episode of the MRM podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching along if you did at home. If you did enjoy it, please leave a review on your podcasting platform of choice. It helps us a lot, helps us get seen by more people. And share if you think someone else you know might enjoy something like this. But until next time, thank you, and we'll see you in the next one.